expected the president to even comment. Do you think that this, with the requirement that he shall give a report on the progress of fulfilling international obligations, including the EAC, that this is a perfect opportunity for President Ruto to comment on what has transpired in the recent past between Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania?
I think it looks like you're fishing out for a comment from the president on the politics of the region. And
not the politics, it's about the international obligations.
No, yes, I was being specific with your question, and with what reading through Professor Ogola's mind is that the president should have declared war with Uganda. Should have
No. These are a separate question.
Now, let me come to this. There are two philosophies that we have on this table. That of having a closed country that is so restrictive to the neighbors and so defensive. And that of a progressive country that is open to the world. And not just open, secure and safe. And this brings me to intra-Africa trade. The philosophy within the intra-Africa trade is opening the continent and getting rid of the borders. Yes, it is time to do that. Mm-hmm. And this is what Raila Odinga stood for. That we link Africa infrastructure, we link Africa completely, the air travel, we link African roads and rails and allow free movement of people so that they live peacefully and they obey the law in whichever country that they travel to. President William Ruto's philosophy has been opening Kenya. And that is why he abolished visas for people coming to Kenya. Because people can come to Kenya too. Because we are an open society. The past era of closed borders is what has balkanized our economies, our economy as a country and economies as a region. There are greater gains with regional integration, both economically and in all aspects. The issue that we read now is the different levels of democracy. So the aspects of political harmony is a challenge, that's a reality. But then while that exists, it doesn't have to affect the gradual integration towards the original objective. And Africa is working on Vision 2063. And very serious countries like Kenya must operate within that frame. And that's why the president has talked about 2055, taking the country to the first world. We don't need the other continents, the other countries. We need to do it ourselves. And therefore, on international obligations, this is what president has done very well. And by opening the borders and allowing Kenya to be a free visa.
But there are challenges, you must agree.
And we have seen the indicators even in the tourism sector. The revenue, the income, the number of visitors visiting Kenya is high. And you see, many countries are now surviving on service industry, many economies. The service industry is more lucrative than even the manufacturing industries. The more visitors visit the country, then it means the economy will do and perform very well. In fact, some countries rely almost absolutely on tourism. So really, Kenya must be an international destination of repute and of decent economic activities.
Fred.
And it should allow free movement of
people.
So
I think to interrupt on that.
No, you don't need to interrupt. It's my turn. I don't interrupt when you're talking, and I think we respect
I'll give you an opportunity after.
Even in Parliament, there's interruption.
So fundamentally, you can't interrupt me, and I won't interrupt you. That will be our rules in this show. So
I will set the rules, but okay, I'll give you an opportunity.
So then, the obligation on international relations, I think the president is clear. He has very clear framework which are aligned to the international visions also, the visions of the continent and that of the world. And
yet the challenges within the East African community are real. There are some states that have delayed in even funding the same. The borders, immediate borders at some point were closed. Kenyans have experienced some challenges despite the dream of open borders between Kenya and Tanzania. Now, the question was, Bwana Sossion, should we expect the president for the very first time to come out and make a comment on that? Because that affects Kenya's international obligations as well.
I don't know what the president will talk about in that particular matter, but
Because we're talking about expectations.
We don't
Do you
expect the president to make provocative statements that are going to promote tension in the region. I don't think he will do it, and he should not do it. And no president of Kenya should do it, now and in future. The statements from any president of Kenya should be that of promoting integration, promoting peace, promoting regional security, promoting regional economic activities, free movement of goods and people, free movement of labor, and ensuring that the citizens
even when that is not
secure.
Reciprocated?
Pardon?
Even when that is not reciprocated?
If it is not reciprocated, there are diplomatic channels to engage that. But we don't expect the president to come and make alarming laments, like of course, what Professor Ogola is proposing here, that he should have told off Museveni about the Indian Ocean. The Indian Ocean belongs to the entire African economy. Just put the rail network from Lamu to the northern corridor and strengthen the SGR all the way to DR Congo, and every nation will use it. All these resources are for the continent.
Yes, Professor.
And it has to be structured in an economic and legal manner, and in a manner that works. So
yes,
those
Professor.
were jokes of Museveni, and you cannot expect the president to reduce himself to responding to some village jokes that are made by
I like now that he's calling it a village joke, because that's what it is.
Those are village jokes.
So now he should, you know what's happening, Fred? I like Sossion, he's a teacher, but I think that he is incapable to address matters of international relations, especially diplomacy. As having served as an economist with the European Central Bank, the first lessons are diplomacy before you ever touch, because you can go to, for example, to Greece and say something which can actually put the institution at risk. So the problem we have, Fred, is not reactions of responding, but the problem is, do you know the official foreign policy of the president? Because if you see him going to Middle East, the way he talks, then he goes to the US, then the way he talks, then when he hosts the king, the way he talks, you realize that it is just him as the constant, but there's no principle. Mm-hmm. Foreign diplomacy are held with what's called a foreign policy written by a state. And sometimes the head of state can revise it if he does not like it. And that's why in my presidential blueprint, we have put what is called, what is our foreign policy? It's based on PPRC. The first P is peace. Mm-hmm. Every time we work with any country, we will have to promote peace rather than diminish peace. So you should, telling somebody, please stay away from my border does not mean you are against peace. You're simply telling them, have your side, I have my side. So anytime what you say, what you do, how you act, you promote peace. The second thing, prosperity. Every time we are looking for how Kenya can prosper, because Kenya cannot be respected if we don't prosper. That's why this State of the Nation address talk about progress. How far have we gone? Like when I was in New York, I went to the UN Security Headquarters and I was asking, why does the president want to sit in the UN Security Council? And the answer is clear. If you don't even have food security, you sit there if you are with some economic muscle. You cannot sit in the UN Security Council, even if your military is being funded. You cannot sit there if everything you are borrowing and begging. When you are borrowing and begging everything, you cannot be respected. So why don't we fix our economy so that we can be prosperous? And then when you are prosperous, our neighbors are prosperous, we can be okay. The third are our respect. Even if you want peace, you must be respected. Try to disrespect your wife and tell her we need peace in this house. Whether you'll get that peace, you'll never get it. So Kenya is losing respect in the global arena. How we manage to kill people here. How a Kenyan is being abducted in Uganda. A Kenyan is being abducted and mistreated in Tanzania. And we are quiet. That is disrespectful. There's one country in East Africa I need to watch. That country is called Rwanda. That country punches above its weight. You cannot dare. If you Ruto think it's a joke, let me try to abduct a citizen of Rwanda. You'll see the reaction from Kagame. But for us, I'm even thinking that should something happen to me outside the country, the president won't care about me. And remember, Fred, the passport you hold, read it. The passport reads this way. The president of the Republic of Kenya asks you to accord the whole of this passport any support or need they require. It means directly that the president is the one talking to another citizen or another country. Mm-hmm. So if it is written there, the drafters of the Constitution And the people who came out with that thing in your passport, they are very clear that anybody seeing me with my passport should respect my president and should therefore give me all assistance because of my president, William Ruto. But if he does not address those issues, he takes them casually, does not care about them. Like rumors are having it that it is President Uhuru Kenyatta who called to intervene for the release of Akina Bob Njagi and Oyo. I do not know because I was also in New York and I was told about it, and I also talked about it on landing from the airport when I landed. But we do not know. What I'm trying to say is that Kenya needs to be respected. Lastly, competitiveness. A competitive nation means that we should be able to produce the things we need to produce, not talking only about roads. If Kenya cannot manufacture, put Kenyans into job. Kenyans cannot be mistreated in Uganda until they are looking for jobs, people worrying about we shall go to UK. If our economy is booming, if you apply for a visa to go to UK, you'll be given because the economy is booming. But if the economy is not booming, even Kenya and diaspora are treated as people who are actually economic slaves, or if you like, they're actually running away. Like newspaper report came and said, it is the president's friends and companies that are taking Kenyans Kaji Maju. It is the president-linked insurance company called Amaco Insurance that is giving Kenyans going to work in UAE insurance to go work there. Okay. So this Kazi Maju is not about Kenyans, it's about him. But the Kenyans in the US and New York told me, go back to Kenya, find a formula on which we can come back home, work in a dignified environment, jobs that can give us value, so that you can grow economy from home. True. This is what a respected country is.
And this is felt definitely at the household level, because the president and this administration have, over time, repeated the same success stories.